Hello, friends. How are you all? Welcome to the fourth part of the Malavika series. For those who have jumped straight into the fourth part, let me tell you, if you haven't seen the first three parts, you won't understand this one at all. You'll find the links to the first three parts in the description and the pinned comment. So make sure to check those out first. And if you've already watched them, then let's begin today's story. That night was the 7th day of the waning moon. The moon was there, but there was no light. Hidden behind heavy clouds, Arnav had been feeling uneasy the whole day. The red mark on his right hand was faintly throbbing, almost in sync with his heartbeat. After evening, an unexplained cold settled inside the house. The windows were closed, there was no wind, yet the curtains were slightly moving. As the night deepened, he went again to the southern room. The moment he entered, he sensed a smell, like rotten flowers mixed with incense. The mandala on the floor was almost erased, but at the center, there was a faint glow, not visible to the eyes, but clearly felt. As he knelt down and touched it, the room seemed to take a breath. The shadows on the walls stretched longer. There was no lamp, yet the light changed. Suddenly, whispers reached his ears. Not one, but many. At first unclear, then distinct. Return it. Release. End it. The voices were different. Men, women of different ages. 6 of them. Arnav stood up. His chest trembled, but his feet wouldn't move, as if the floor had trapped him. Suddenly, a shadow near the door thickened. Slowly, it took shape. A young girl, no more than 18 or 19, shoulder-length hair, pale face, deep eyes, unnaturally deep. Arnav didn't recognize her, yet a name rose from within him, Mystery Nalini. The girl neither smiled nor cried. She simply said, "Sister said she wouldn't." Suddenly, a shadow near the door thickened. Slowly, it took shape. A young girl, no more than 18 or 19, shoulder-length hair, pale face, deep eyes, unnaturally deep. Arnav didn't recognize her, yet a name rose from within him, Mystery Nalini. The girl neither smiled nor cried. She simply said, "Sister said she wouldn't let go." There was no accusation in her voice. Only exhaustion. There was no shadow beneath her feet. Arnav tried to step back, but another shadow clung to the wall, a middle-aged man with a permanent look of fear on his face. His throat bore a dark mark. He couldn't speak, but his eyes pleaded. Then one by one, more forms appeared. An old woman, a boy, a laborer, an unknown woman. 6 figures stood at the 6 corners of the mandala. All of them stared at Arnav. The center of the mandala now glowed, visible for the first time. Ms. Nalini slowly moved closer. Her feet didn't touch the ground. She stopped in front of Arnav and said, "She was calling me. I didn't want to go." Arnav's body turned cold. That meant Mystery Nalini's soul had not been at peace. Malavika had been pulling her back. Suddenly, Mystery Nalini touched Arnav's right hand. The touch wasn't cold, nor like ice, but like emptiness. Instantly, Arnav's vision shattered. He saw a new moon night, Malavika chanting, 6 shadows trembling inside the mandala, and at the center a faint light, Nalini's soul, unwilling to fully come. Malavika, with a trembling voice, said, "I promised I won't let you go." And from that light came a voice, "Didi, let me go." The chant didn't stop, desperation didn't stop, and in that struggle, the ritual remained incomplete. Returning to the present, Arnav gasped. The room's temperature dropped suddenly. From the cracks in the walls, black smoke-like lines emerged. The 6 spirits whispered together, "Bound, bound, bound." Mystery Nalini clearly said, "We are not bound to her, we are bound to the center." Arnav realized Malavika herself had become part of this bond. She was no longer a fully independent consciousness. She was a knot of energy. At that moment, another figure appeared in a corner, tall, steady, with a familiar glow in the eyes. Aniruddha, but unlike the others, his form was stable, half light, half shadow. He looked at Arnav and slowly nodded. His voice wasn't heard, but his lips moved. "Ended." At that moment, the center of the mandala flared like fire. The southern room's door shut on its own. The window glass trembled. Arnav felt as if something inside his chest was being pulled out. Misty Nalini suddenly screamed. Not a scream of terror, but of unfulfilled release. The shadows detached from the walls and swirled like a vortex. The 6 spirits began circling at the 6 corners. Aniruddha stepped forward and placed his hand on Arnav's shoulder. The touch wasn't fire, it was strength. For a moment, Arnav understood. Aniruddha wasn't fully gone. He had been a vessel. Now he was exhausted. Nalini said one last time, "Let me go." All the lights in the room went out. A loud sound echoed, as if something beneath the ground had broken. Arnav lost consciousness. At dawn, he lay on the floor of the southern room. The central mark of the mandala was cracked. The 6 corner markings were almost gone. There was no smell, no whispers. But the mark on his right hand had turned dark. He knew something had been released, but not everything. Because when he looked in the mirror, sometimes a faint shadow of a woman still stood behind him. From that day onward, changes came into Arnav's life. Slowly, almost invisibly, like water seeping into stone and creating cracks. At first, he tried to convince himself it was all exhaustion, mental stress, imagination. But the body doesn't listen to logic. At night, silence in the room didn't feel silent. It felt like waiting. Standing before the mirror, he noticed his eyes had changed. No longer a simple reflection. It felt like another layer inside them. Someone watching. The longer he stared, the stronger the feeling became. As if something inside wanted to meet his gaze. One day, he leaned closer, staring deep into his pupils. And for a moment, he clearly saw his reflection's lips move, while he himself did not. Then came the change of touch. The dark mark on his hand sometimes warmed, as if something burned inside. Other times the hand went numb. One night he woke to find his hand drawing strange symbols on the floor, circles, lines, dots, just like the mandala. He tried to stop it, but for a few seconds his hand didn't obey him. Then came the voice, at first faint, distant, then clearer, but not like the six spirits, just one voice, a woman's voice, calm, deep, incomplete. Arnav understood. It wasn't Mrinalini. There was no plea in this voice, only demand. One night, he clearly heard, "You stopped it. Now you will finish it." His body went cold. He sat up. The room was dark, but a faint red glow came from the window. The same glow as the southern room. He realized Malavika was not gone. She was waiting, neither fully powerful nor gone, trapped in an incomplete desire. And that desire was now entering Arnav. By day, he seemed normal, but at night, his thoughts changed. Unknown chants, strange Sanskrit words, ideas of power and invocation filled his mind. He realized his thoughts were no longer entirely his own. One night, he stood before the mirror. This time, he didn't speak. He waited. Slowly, his lips moved, but he knew he wasn't speaking. From the reflection came a voice. "I did not let go." Malavika. Arnav felt a jolt in his chest. This body was no longer just his. It was a path, the final door of an incomplete ritual. His mark burned. His thoughts swirled. His eyes began to change. But the most disturbing thing wasn't fear. It was the subtle loss of control. His thoughts no longer moved in straight lines. Decisions seemed made before he made them. Words formed before he thought them. His hand moved before his mind followed. Time itself felt strange. Some moments stretched endlessly, others vanished. One night he saw strange symbols on paper without remembering drawing them. Instead of fear, a strange curiosity grew. He began observing himself, standing before mirrors, watching his own eyes. Sometimes a strange glimmer appeared, like memory, not light. One night he closed his eyes and imagined the mandala. This time, it was complete, perfect. He realized it wasn't memory, it was reconstruction. Something unknown was forming within him. Malavika's presence returned, not as a voice, but as a will, a pull, a direction. Looking at the mark on his hand, he realized it wasn't a wound, it was a gateway. That night, he made a decision. He wouldn't resist anymore, he would understand. He drew the mandala consciously, perfectly, and then silence. Heavy, deep silence. Something was ready. He stood before the mirror again, fearless, his gaze steady, and deep inside his eyes, another gaze, not separate, merged. At this point, fear and fascination became one, because Arnav no longer knew which thoughts were his and which belonged to that incomplete force. Yet he didn't stop. His curiosity had surpassed fear. He knew this wasn't just a mystery of the past, it was a process, and that process was now unfolding within him. And this is where we end the fourth part of the Malavika series. Since you've come this far, it means you're enjoying it. So don't forget to share your thoughts with us. That motivates us to bring even more mysterious and thrilling stories for you. We'll be back again with the fifth part, woven with deeper layers of dark rituals and secrets. Till then, stay with us. Thank you.